Alright, and we're back. With some Valhalla. Language select. English. City that shouldn't exist. Tax haven where corporations and criminal empires reign supreme. In this place, all human life has been infected with nanomachines to keep them in check. Over them stand the White Knights. Their brutality in all its forms is an everyday reality. Quality of life for the non-powerful decreases at an alarming rate. For many, this can be overwhelming. They dedicate themselves to their jobs, their families, or even studies. Some look for ways to escape. Others just give up. But for many, the answer for them lies at the bottom of a glass. On a small road just seconds away from the main street, somewhere near the slums, you can find the Hall A of the BTC-certified bar coded VA-11. But that's a mouthful, so we just call it Valhalla. A small oasis in the middle of the concrete desert, a fountain of spirits waiting for tired souls. And it's here where this story unfolds. Your membership to Shining Fingered will automatically renew on the 17th. Make sure your account has at least $800 by then. Jill bought herself what she wanted, and she's pleased with herself. She will surely focus at work. You can now browse Kid and Mickey's blog. Did that idol really show up? Or is she like the ghost? Hey. Augmented Eye. Neo San Francisco rocked by an earthquake, millions saved. A powerful 8.6 magnitude tremor has struck the area of Neo San Francisco. Modern science was able to identify the quake almost an hour in advance, providing the city plenty of time to prepare for the worst. During a conference call, Glitch City's Prime Minister Quincy congratulated the rescue teams at Neo San Francisco for its rapid response in the wake of the warning. They're an example to follow, and we're certainly looking forward to implement these advancements in earthquake prediction here in our beautiful city. Glitch City is not currently known to be a seismic zone. It probably isn't. I doubt that it is. Well, we couldn't do with the money he'll use for that anyways. Let's ignore that civilian deaths were not by the other rioters. One more civil death and we'll ban protests from Quincy. After the numerous protests held around the city which are caused by ongoing economic and safety crisis, Glitch City's Prime Minister Quincy has made it clear that if the rioters take another civilian life, he'll personally write a law to ban all kinds of public manifestations. This simply can't go on, Quincy told AE during the call. They only want to destroy public property. They're actively sabotaging our efforts to recover our beautiful city, and I've decided that if they cause another civilian casualty, I'll do everything in my power to ban protests. The White Knights will have full authorization to use maximum force. Quincy will be running for a second term next year. Oh, this is his first term. Oh, right on, for sure. Yeah. Sounds like they totally elected the right guy for the job. Is Alice Rabbit a group? The answer here. I should really ask Alma what her take on Alice Rabbit is. Who is Alice Rabbit? Judging by the complexity of the methods they've used to breach all kinds of protected software, some are starting to think that this is in fact a group and not a single individual. So, is Alice Rabbit a group after all? Not the first time this would be a thing. More than half a century ago, a group of notorious hackers rose to prominence. They call themselves Anon. They weren't even a threat to real protected data. Oh shit, okay. Hang on, I got myself an idea. Technically recalibrating. Let's see if this works. Alright, there we go. Now it looks like I'm actually like in shadow. This right here should be fine. At least you can see how much money I got. Kira Mickey blog. Thanks, GC. Huh, so she'll actually come again. That's nice. Best boss. Ooh, I love this place. So much energy, so much love. I could feel the optimism in the air. Even after all the struggles, you still came to see me, and I got to experience the loudest and craziest crowd in my whole career. I'm beyond speechless. That said, I'm excited to announce that we'll have a second date in the city. It wasn't easy to set up, but I'm happy my agency approved it. This was by far our biggest show, and I can't wait to experience it again. See you soon, my darlings. Love, Miki. Aww. Dome concert. Bodyguards, does she mean the fan club, or... Hi everyone. Are you ready for the Dome concert? I sure am. I perform in a rather large number of concerts every year, and even then I can't help but be excited every time I have one around the corner. And it's all thanks to you. Thanks to your energy and love surrounding my life in every aspect. I'm going to perform all your favorite songs, so please be excited. Just one a little request. Please don't wait for me outside the stadium or my bodyguards will get angry at you. I wouldn't like to see you hurt, so please don't do it. Aw. What I Do to Relax by Miki. It's been very hectic as of late, so I'd like to share with you what I do to relax. Sitting on rooftops. I'm on the road most of the time, so I don't have a specific rooftop to relax on. I like to feel the breeze and see a beautiful vista. It makes me think about life. Tea cocktails. Oh, this is something I can't live without. Mixing tea with vodka, rum, gin, lime, and you name any tasty and natural combination and I'll be all over it. I'm very careful about getting tipsy before a show though. I wouldn't like to ruin your evening. That's all for today. See ya. Alright, Mickey Concert 3 from Dangerous Opinions. In the last thread, a nun hates fun. I don't want fights. People are so immature. What's wrong with being a guy and danger you? Why do you care if we assume you're a girl anyway? Fuck off. Implying dudes, implying endanger you. Aha. Let's get back to the concert, please. 2070X and you stupid idiots still care about this petty shit like this. He started everything by mentioning he is a guy. Sigh. Anyway, we should gather somewhere to take the train to the stadium together. Not a bad idea. We can make an official Danger You meetup. Implying Danger You meetup. Like I want to be seen with a bunch of ugly girls in front of my friends. Okay, next thread I'm gonna moderate the fuck out of this. No more shit posting. The store is closed. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious how such a meetup would work. Or would end up. Or how was your first kiss? I tripped into a guy. Hurt like hell. Mickey Concert 4. In the last thread, no shit posting allowed. That one and on left? I think so. I never left. I was just lurking to not cause any trouble. Don't worry, we're here for you. Any ideas for the great revelation? Do you know if you like her yet? Look, I just don't want to ruin our friendship. We know each other since we were very young. Is your childhood friend? It's like one of my Japanese animes. Yeah. Okay, this is what you have to do. When Miki ends singing Lovers in Paradise, you kiss her. Kiss? Of course. Try to imagine how magical. Just try to imagine how magical that moment would be, with the fireworks and the epic guitar solo. I will think about it. Alice Rabbit Thread 2 Electric Boogaloo. Stop forcing Alice. So we hate Alice now. Good. It's just that we haven't heard any news yet. Remember that time they posted here to announce an attack? Lol. Yeah, and I remember the cybercrime unit up the admin's ass. It's December 17th will come, the second retribution birthday is coming. That font. Oh boy, implying spooky font. It's happening. Haha, time for despair. Oh shit, fuck. Implying that feeling when I just got out of jail. I'm not going back. You know what happens to people with IPs on the wrong thread? Hi, cybercrime unit. I just want to let you know I'm not Alice, but in fact your mom. Why are you gals so nervous? The only one getting fucked is the admin. Fuck off, Alice. Not this shit again. Damn. Spooky. Or a nice joke. So that's what she meant by a tea-like drink. Uh, what was the song I bought? Fuck. Your love is a drug. That's what it is. I wonder if I can add that to the jukebox. Thursday, December 15th. Good evening. Oh, hi there. I was expecting the bar to be different before opening hours, but I guess it's just the same tired thing. Melma? Uh, Leonidas. Gillian. Marcelo. I stumbled across her on my way in and asked her if she wanted to tag along. Hope you don't mind. Sure, make yourself at home. Where's boss? She didn't put the helmet on again, did she? She went out for a bit, but I don't know what for. She'll be back. Alright. Alma, make yourself comfortable while I prepare. Right. Thanks. Hmm. Doo-doo-doo, 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 doo-doo-doo. Uh, let's see. While I figure this out, I'll run these. Oh, I can. Oh, but I don't want it to be the first song and then it just be gone. Alright, I think ads are done. Time to mix drinks and change lives. What was that? Oh, just something they made me say back in instruction. It kind of stuck. Huh. Well, I went to a school that made I went to a school that made us stand up with our hands on our backs when someone came in. That happened in row off until high school or so. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Oh yeah, look at this. A glass with a signature? J, J, I'll assume it's either an autograph or an impromptu medicine recipe. That Kiramiki girl came here yesterday before a concert, actually. Oh yeah, now I see your name here. You don't seem very surprised. I like B-Link more, actually. The stoic-looking duo, right? Yeah, those. Seems you had a better day than mine yesterday. I had to break up with Damien. I see. Want a drink? You don't seem very surprised. Alma, we've known each other for, what, a few months now? I'd be interested if those relationships of yours went further than a week or two. You say you broke up, but there's usually not enough time to foster something to break. It's more like, the guy wasn't what I wanted, so I stopped flirting. Could pretend to be more interested, you know. Like my mom says, if I don't buy it, it's because I know the product. Speaking of buying, do you want a frame? A frame? Yeah, for all these pics you have of your boss. The ones filling your phone's memory. Some seem sneakily taken at that. Is that true? What do you care? How the hell did you find that out? So it is true. Shut up. I'm a hacker, remember? You shouldn't piss off a hacker. Oh, I really like this one of her sleeping in her office. I think I'll copy it. You. Hey, can you make me a bad touch before we keep arguing? Sure. Yelma wants a bad touch. Yeah, she can... Jill is not mature enough to be a bartender, I've realized. Let's see. Bronson, 2 Bronson extract, powder delta, 2 Flenegride, and 4 Comertrine. On the rocks and mix. Okay, so it seems we have a bit of a crush on our boss. Well, maybe not a... maybe more than a crush, I guess. Here. Who gives these drinks their silly names? Usually the one who registers it. Some people have quite a silly sense of humor. Like that girl keeps laughing over this particular drink's name. Yeah. So, who's Damien again? The one with the nice car. Sure, he's also the manager at that bank, but that car was what caught my eye. And what was wrong with him? Turns out he was a LARPer. LARP? Live action role-playing. Sounds more like the nickname of some very heavy-headed writer or a military organization. What did he roleplay as? Have you heard of the Woodstock fairs? Those events where people barely dress, stink, roll in mud, and fuck in the open? Those are hippies, yeah. He frequents those and it's something I'd rather not deal with. At all. If I stayed with him, I'd eventually have to. I mean, I need to support my partner in what he does, but if it's something like that... You see, that's the problem right there. You say breaking up like you had something formal, but most of the time you're still getting to know him. Think about it. Have you ended your longest lasting relationships for things like those? Okay, sorry for not using the right word or whatever, but I'm still sorely disappointed. And at least I'm trying to get some action. When was the last time you spent the night with someone else? Last night. Your cat doesn't count. A year ago. It was messy. See? I mean, I have no idea how you deal with that. If I were you, I would have pushed fuckboy over there into a closet ages ago. Fuckboy? People have different needs and priorities. Yes, but don't you miss having the warmth of someone else at your side? Using them as a pillow, mixing your perfume with theirs. Putting your head on their chest, listening to them breathe as they pet your head. Dozing off knowing they're there, watching you, protecting you. Jill? Anything I can make you just shut up and drink. I'll have you know that my Uncle Juan taught me ventriloquism when I was 12. Drinking won't stop me from talking or making tasteless puns about for Aunt Rosa. Still, give me something weird, would you? Ventriloquism. Weird. A weird drink? Yeah, something different, experimental, uncommon. Let's see. A weird drink. Promo drinks fit that bill very easily. Unnecessarily brown. This one's kind of unbearable. It's mostly for fans of the movie it was used in. Now that I think about it, something different, something that's like, that would surprise you, right? Four of each ingredient, all on the rocks and mixed. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 and 4. Yeah, it kind of looks kind of nice. I'm covering up the drink. Yeah, there we go. Here. Yeah, this fits the bill. It's a promotional drink made to commemorate a movie. So I should have done the Grizzly Temple. They left at the chance to sell drinks that would be unmarketable otherwise. Oh. You know, your orders are weird today. They are. Yeah, usually the first thing you ask is for a Brantini, and then something like the Cobalt Velvet, or something similar. Well, sometimes I feel like I need something different, you know? Something tells me part of the reason you left this Damien is because he was too deep into routine. Maybe. Hey, speaking of routines, as a hacker, what's your opinion on the whole Alice Rabbit thing? That's the silence of somebody who's just heard something stupid. Stupid enough to warrant the speech they prepared for just for occasions like this. As always, very perceptive of you. You know, decades ago there was this group of people that hacked simple sites with an agenda. Can't remember what they used to call themselves, I just remember that it was pretty petty vandalism. Anyway, everyone that participated started using the same name. They wanted to create this anonymous anarchist identity. The whole Alice Rabbit thing is the logical conclusion of that. The logical conclusion of that. It's what happens when that idea reaches its breaking point and goes mainstream. It is no longer a group but an individual. An untouchable entity watching from the shadows, monitoring and judging everything anyone does. Observing, tolerating no one but itself. A lot of bullshit for what's essentially a pet the press made up. The antithesis of your usual boogeyman, if you must. So, you don't think such a person exists? Don't know, don't care. I mean, we have seen the actions of such an entity, but it might be anything. An individual, a group, an AI. That's not taking into account all the copycats and pranksters using the name. So, Alice Rabbit is a thing that exists, but is also really muddied overall. There's something else that worries me though. That kind of story always catches the attention of kids and such. They start trying to hack stuff without knowing the risks or consequences. Imagine if suddenly a group of tweens broke into this bar and started asking for drinks. That's how it feels for me, and it's thanks to that damned Alice Rabbit thing. I see. But enough of that. There's a more pressing matter at hand. There is? Yeah, you've been delaying my invitations for hanging out sometime for too long. Oh, that. You hate me that much, Jill? Does my presence make you that uncomfortable? No, At this rate, I just might crash by your apartment. That way you can't say no. Maybe I'll also crash for the night. We could have a sleepover, braid our hair, tell stories all night, shower together. You know. You know you need some human warmth in that place. Your tits alone would fill my entire bathroom. Man, you react too nonchalantly. It's no fun. React a little bit. Let me tease you for a second. I refuse. In all seriousness though, any particular reason you keep turning down my invitations? I mean, it's not a date. I just want to have a conversation with you outside these four walls. I'm not a morning person. I registered for a night shift precisely to avoid waking up early. The earliest I've asked you out is 10 AM, you know. That's early morning by my standards. I mean, it's not that I don't want to hang out. I just don't want to wake up early. You are hopeless. Anyway, I'm gonna need another drink here. Like, say, a big Brantini. Finally, that's the Alma I know. A big Brantini, that's easy enough. Wait a minute. 6 aldehyde? Bro, I need 12? How the fuck? Oh, that's cool. So that's 12. Six. Aged and mix. Here. You know, Brantini is such a weird name. It was originally supposed to replicate the martini. Problem is, the BTC got a hold of a brand of vermouth that was named after a certain automobile company. So, on a weird whim, they changed the name. I see. You know, I was wondering. Yeah? Don't you worry about what the people you work for might be doing with the information you provide? Not really. You don't? Do you worry about what happens when people leave this place drunk? Not really. Most of the time. Well, neither do I. Or should you? Do you get people drunk? Some say my beauty is intoxicating, but that's beside the point. I get my payment, do my job, and forget about the whole thing. You make your job sound so easy. Once you understand what precautions to take, it's no problem, and I've always found my job fun. However, most of my contacts are consultancy-based gigs. It's not like every day's a thrill. Do you meet with your client, or...? I don't. It's always from behind as many filters as I can manage. I remember I once did a job where I had a couple of kids relaying letters. For security reasons, right? Actually, because that way I lose a lot less time. I don't have to deal with clients hitting on me or pestering me after the job's done. I also don't have to lose time proving my worth because big boobs equals small brain or some shit like that. I mean, protecting my identity is one of the reasons, but the few times I've shown myself, they weren't even risky or dangerous jobs, just run-of-the-mill security checks. I don't know, maybe I need to show up as like a disheveled nerd or something. Give them what they expect to see. Or I just don't show up and save myself the trouble. Why all the questions? Just things I've been curious about and always forget to ask. So many Alice Rabbit headlines have made me wonder about the hacking business too. Oh, I'll remember to ask you things next time then. Well, I'll take my leave now. See ya. Take care. Hello, sugar. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Donovan.
Like my pop used to say, never touch the ass of a woman with metallic arms.
I think it's more like plastic and carbon fiber.
The hard as fuck, and that's all my abdomen felt.
Do you normally greet people that way?
I'm a man that can't contain himself when he sees something that he likes, kid. Oh, but don't worry. You're safe. You're flatter than the field in my summer house.
A bit of advice. You shouldn't provoke the ones serving you drinks or food.
Don't be offended, kid. You have your audience. I'm just not part of it. Today I'm making this a quick one. I gotta tend to business in a while. Having said that, I'll just have the usual.
The usual, he says. Mr. Donovan wants the usual. 3 days and he already has a usual drink. Two, 4, 2, 4, 8. The usual.
Sure, this'll work.
What brings you today, Mr. Donovan?
That girl I interviewed yesterday is coming again in a couple weeks. So I was called to clinch an exclusive interview.
Did you succeed?
Who the hell do you think you're talking to? I'm Donovan D. Dawson. I always get what I want. Sure, I had to blackmail the editors of other outlets, but the end result is what matters.
I see. Wait, blackmail?
You'd be surprised the kind of stuff you find out when you get the right people drunk. Hey, the single shot glass on that glass over there.
Ah, oh yeah.
That big titted Lillian was here.
She came yesterday before the concert, yeah.
Anything juicy come out of a visit? No. Gossip worthy?
No,
Tabloid worthy?
no.
Come on, that has to be something.
Well, her love for what she does is so honest and pure that anyone who tries to ruin it should be ashamed.
Oh, don't give me that shit. Throw me a bone here, anything.
I've got nothing.
Everyone has a price. How much will you spill the beans?
I'm serious here. She said nothing that could be used against her or that you didn't already know.
Fine. Hey kid, you think Lillian have nipples?
Excuse me?
I mean, I've seen a couple of poems that have them, but they could be modded, you know. So yesterday, while interviewing that singer Lillian chick, I kept one of those. Those tits had nipples.
Oh my god. This fucking game.
I mean, I'd be fine without them, but the curiosity is killing me. But I'm even more curious about the engineers that design it. Can you picture a room full of people discussing whether or not the tits on a little look good? Bunch of guys and a lesbo engineer wonder if the latest model's vagina is good enough. Fuck. Man, God bless those sons of bitches.
Any interesting preview of tomorrow's news?
You expect me to share my information when you wouldn't share your scoop on the singer?
How can one share when there's honestly nothing to share?
Uh-huh. I'm gonna go be a good citizen today and let this one pass. Have you heard of a group called the Harbingers?
Not really, no.
There's some group wanting to overthrow the White Knights. I read their manifesto in the bathroom once. Interesting piece, and even better makeshift toilet paper. They talk about how the organization's corrupt, full of mob bosses or something like that.
I think I've heard about that somewhere. What of them?
They sent a message to some outlets saying they got proof of their claims. That they're gonna release it to the public tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be interesting to see. I think.
I know, right? Alright, kid, give me a bleeding Jane so I can call it a day.
Okay. The Bleeding Jane, that's a change of pace. 1, 3, and 3 all blended. Here.
Simple enough for you, I see. So I've heard this is Dana Zane's bar. Is it true?
Yeah.
Never thought I'd hear about the undefeated of the West again. More so after the incident with the bears. Where is she?
She's out running some bears? Tekken? New special guest for Tekken 8, Dana Zane.
"6 years ago, cash-strapped Dana Zane entered an underground ring for money. Faced 10 enraged grizzly bears. She beat them all without killing them. I heard she set them free afterwards, too.
And you were there.
I was drunk and bored, what can I say?
You know she lost an arm there.
Can't remember. Too drunk. Maybe she had a prosthetic then, too. I heard someone that suggested she lost it after throwing a baseball out of some stadium. Dude, so hard, arm fell off. That sounds more like an unsubstantiated rumor.
More like something she made up.
Well, I gotta go. Next time you see Dana, thank her for winning me my second yacht. I knew betting on her was the right choice.
Please come again.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright. And now this is our break. Oh, that's cool. The light of the game actually shifts. Like now I'm kind of blue. It's now safe to keep playing. Yay! Just humming to ourselves. Boss, you're back. Yeah, sorry about not being here earlier. What were you doing? I had a brief meeting with my BTC regional manager. Oh, everything alright? As alright as it can be, considering that we're closing eventually. When will that happen? I don't know. Brian said that we'll be safe for a few months while the paperwork is filled and everything's being put in order. Oh. I was also talking to him about you. About me? Yeah, I was telling him to do whatever it takes to ensure you don't spend too much time without a job. If possible, to reassign you ASAP after closing. Hey, if it helps, Brian might be the angriest of us all. They want to close the only bar in the whole area that hasn't given me any headaches, he said. Yeah. What about Gil? He's the one that worries me the most, actually. He's kinda working using the credentials of another guy that was working here before. Who? The one who bought a levitation potion and then threw himself off a building. Weird. Hang on. What? Threw himself off a building? Ah, yes, the levitation potion story. You use weird euphemisms, boss. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that Gil will find a job after all this. Just who is Gil? I have an idea of who he is, but I'm still putting pieces together. Anyway, back to work. M&A closure is no excuse to slack off. Yes, sir. You guys do know I can hear you, right? This place looks familiar. Excuse me, is this the Valhalla bar? Or, yeah, the VA-11 Hall A bar? It is indeed. Welcome to Valhalla. Oh god, what is Say planning now? Excuse me? I want a drink whose name was changed after many women protested. Can you get me that? Sure. What was that drink whose name was changed after people caused a stink? Piano Woman, no? It was originally called Pretty Woman, but too many people complained that there should be a piano woman if there was a piano man. I suppose. Here you go. Very nice. Thanks a lot. So you know Say, miss. I'm Stella Hoshi. My pleasure. Yeah, I know her. She's been here before, yes? Yep. In fact, I'm glad you know her because she left this here last time. Oh god, she left her helmet behind again. Not the first time, huh? Her helmets have been picked up by all sorts of people in the last 3 months. Ballets, nurses, morticians, fire jugglers. She's been lucky enough to always leave it with people who return it at least. Whoa, quite a few people. Stays as much as a sociable girl as she is a total klutz. At least when she's not being serious, she's very competent when she puts her mind at it. Oh, at least when she's not being serious. She's very competent when she puts her mind to it. I see. So did she recommend you this place, or we're meeting here today? I can see why she chose this place. It's the kind of place she likes. Hey, is that Kid Mickey's autograph on that glass? Seems like the glass is a conversation starter. Nice. Yeah, it is. How did you get it? She stopped by here yesterday just before the concert. Really? I mean, She did. Yeah, nice girl. Can I see it? Sure. Yep, the star-like signature is hers. So your name's Jill then? Yes. Ain't this nice? Here you go. Do you like her, Miss Stella? Just call me Stella. I do. Whenever you hear her songs, you feel with so much energy and happiness. Too bad I couldn't purchase tickets for this one. I mean, they were sold out in minutes. Luckily, I could secure a couple for the next time she comes around. Oh, excuse me for a second. Hello, where the hell are you? Car crash? Oh, you're helping. How long will it take? Alright. Yeah, don't worry. I take it that was Say. Yes. Will you wait for her? I will. In fact, in the meantime, I feel like having another drink. One that was prepared in memory of its creator's dearest friend. Alright. Drinking in honor of good friend. Traditionally brewed beer has become a luxury, but this one's pretty close to the real deal. No thermometer was harmed in the creation of this drink? Oh. You mean in honor of a good friend? Damn it, I don't know the answer to this one. I mean, you would drink a beer in honor of a friend, right? I think. Here. Maybe I'm being too cryptic, but you should know these ones already. He's not wrong. May I ask you something that might be personal? It isn't about my eye, is it? No, it's not. Or at least I don't think so. I don't get to serve many cat boomers, so it's something I've been curious about. Did you go through the procedure because of a disease or because of the fad? I'd rather not talk about it. My deepest apologies then. It's fine. You seem to know your drinks, Jill. Well, I guess I read a bit more than the recipe book. Do you like alcohol? Yeah, but not in the usual way. I don't drink that much outside of canned beer. But their colors, their stories, the way that you need to keep them stored, their designs. It sounds a bit silly when I say it out loud. Not at all. Do you collect them or anything like that? Actually, yeah. I started with my grandpa's collection and have slowly been growing it. It's been hard because of my debts, but I manage, little by little. You like alcohol, Stella? I'm here, right? But I'm more normally of a social drinker. Unless it's with somebody, I don't tend to drink much. I see. Sorry I'm late. Welcome. You took your sweet time. Yeah, sorry. I got caught in rush hour traffic too and figured walking might be faster. Luckily there was a building with emergency stairs nearby and I climbed down. Climbed down? Took an air cab. Oh. I would suggest using ground transportation, but I'm happy to see you put safety first. Safety? No, flying cars are just way cooler. I still don't understand how they give you how they don't give you motion sickness. If I find out how I avoid it, you'll be the first to know. Anyway, I'll have whatever she orders next. I like a drink that was... You're at it again. You and your cryptic orders always leaving us with weird stuff. Hey, I only expect the best from whoever serves me. They need to be able to answer these kind of orders. Still, I'm sure you're wearing poor Jill here out with that kind of stuff. She's done quite well so far, actually. Really? Thank you. Whatever. Please order something normal, would you? That'll be 2 fringe weavers then. You'll have 2 drinks at once? No, we're sharing. What? Like half a glass for each? Or isn't it better if it's 1 each? Don't worry, you'll see. 2 French weavers, easy enough. Oh Jesus, she's gonna really destroy her. Holy fuck. 2 fringe weavers. So... this one's for you and this one's for me. You said whatever you wanted, whatever I asked for, right? Oh, that way. Oh, that way. You could have said so earlier. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, here. Hey, so this is where I left my helmet. Thanks. You really need to be more careful with your things. Yeah, but I have spares. Those spares should be safer when you're using the one you're using breaks or malfunctions, not when you lose it. Those helmets cost money, you know. Yeah, sorry. Should I say that boss got her head stuck because of a jam button? Speaking of money, you still going to that meeting at the bank tomorrow? Yep. You worried? I'll refrain for now. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. Don't be, I'll be fine. Rumors are just rumors. Rumors? They say something might happen at the bank tomorrow. But with all the tension in the air lately, it's hard to know if it's true. As if the fearmonger wasn't enough, the people have also started spreading baseless rumors. Just yesterday, I had to stop a group of rampaging youngsters that heard the city would be leveled by bombs. Everyone's on edge. Yeah. I know you're worried, but I have to go there. It's orders from the higher-ups. Tell me something, if somebody came after me, do you think they'd stand a chance? You're quite strong, but... I'll take something to protect myself, be prepared for anything. Would that make you feel safer? Maybe. Tell you what, after I come back, we'll get some ice cream. That way you can vent all your frustrations. Alright. Seems my vehicle is here to pick me up. You coming, say? Nah, I'll stay here a bit longer. Okay then. Take care. Bye. She's such a worrywart. That means she cares about you. I've never doubted. Hey, why does my helmet smell like bacon? I would not survive one day. I would not survive 1 week being this bar's bartender. And Say just asks me out of the blue, why does my helmet smell like bacon? I would just lose my shit right there. I mean, I get it. It's her helmet. You would check it, right? But then I have a question, like, okay, if Dana had it on her head, then was Dana eating bacon at the same time? Or did Dana just have like bacon breath? And now it's like stuck to the inside of the helmet. Well, answer her, Jill. Bacon? Not that I mind. I'm just curious. Well, you know how some things absorb the smell of what's nearby. It must have grabbed it from one of the ingredients. I see. You believe all that stuff about tensions growing in that anarchist group trying to disband the White Knights? To tell you the truth, I am a bit worried. Even in my division, there's some shady business going on. But I don't want to investigate too deeply.
What kind of business?
From what I understand, things like working with human traffickers or drug dealers, letting them act as they wish. Some even say the ones that do get apprehended are the ones that have failed to get them in some way, or failed them in some way. Stella always says the White Knights are just glorified mall security. She says that if it's been proven beyond a doubt that some shady business is going on, Zaibatsu Corp's main branch would separate themselves from the whole White Knight division. Something about the Associates' fear of bad PR resulting in moving to the BTC.
Sounds plausible.
Yeah, it kind of worries me though, because I really like my job. And I guess a similar fear exists among the upper ranks. Lately you seem restless.
Too much politics, huh?
It hurts my brain. I just want to rescue people and help them. I just want to do my job without worries about politics of any kind.
What are you doing at the bank tomorrow?
My colonel needed to relay some information to the manager and I was picked because he trusted me. Well, he said, "You're such a simpleton that you'd never give the wrong message." But it's his intention that counts.
Oh. Finally, the Dorothy has come back to Valhalla. Please refrain from doing those sitcom-like entrances. You're disturbing other clients.
Oh, come on. You know the audience would have gone wild with that one. And besides, you make it sound like you have a full house.
Ahem. It's uncommon to see you here 2 days in a row.
I wanted to grab something before starting my shift. Grab something before they start grabbing me, you could say. Hey, do you have any drink? Can I buy you one?
Why, yes, thank you.
Honey, you should follow her example and offer me drinks more often.
We'll see. What are you having?
I'll have what she's having.
And I got the perfect thing.
Let's have a blue fairy. One for both. One for each.
Alright. 2 blue fairies are due.
By name, B.
Optional karma tree.
Wait, this is red and green. How does it turn your teeth blue?
Two fairies.
Hey, this is pretty good. See? And it's blue like your hair. It is! So what's your name, sweetie? Call me Say. Alright, Say. I'm Dorothy. Hey, Say. Yes, yes? Say, Say. Yes, yes? Say, Say. Say, Say. Say, why did you just buy me a drink? I just thought you were cute as a button, so I wanted to invite you to join me. Wow, you have to be the first person to offer me a drink without having an ulterior motive. And that includes fuckboy over there.
What do you mean?
Trust me, when you work in my kind of field, you learn to recuse of everything. And this girl is simple to a fault. How so? You're the what you see is what you get type. That look on your face is one of that it simply sees no point in lying. Coupled with the fact that you're here in what looks like your work attire tells me that you're so married to your job that sex is far too down your priority list to notice its existence. So if you invited me to a drink because you found me cute, and that's the extent of it, I believe you. Thank you. You say she's the first one, but what about Deal giving you a ticket over there the other day? Who? Oh yeah, the little one with the dogs. No, he doesn't count. He looked like a humanoid Matt. Ouch. You seem very perceptive, Dorothy, but I'm not too far behind. How so? I can tell your body is heavily modded with things you shouldn't even have. Your tongue has a BEB 069 with DNA scanning capabilities. Your skin is coated with an anti-radiation finish. Your joints are of the premium extra flexible variety. And the most important thing, your hands. But what about them? I don't know how modded your body is into your clothes. The tongue, joints, and skin are merely interesting. But your hands are the MRID 113 of Rialta Industries. A model designed to shoot Class 5 bullets from its fingertips. So, Clause G of Article 17, the augmentations and modifications law on the topic of ballistic augmentations. Any humanoid or sapient creature under a civilian designation that has upgraded any of its person to hold firearms of Class 3 grade or higher will be either commissioned for disarmament or sent to danger zones. What are you gonna do? Nothing. Huh? I'm not in law enforcement. I just do rescue. And even if I was, I'm not on duty right now. Oh. I want to know though. I go through with that upgrade. A girl's gotta take care of herself, you know. I want to be able to deal with things if they get ugly, and this is the most discreet mod I had. Or at least I thought so. Oh, yeah. Okay then, can I give you some advice? I guess. The reason I could tell it's not your default hand model is your fingertips. The tips are a little bigger to make the cannons fit. You could get a small mod that changes them into disposable tips. Assuming they're being used for self-defense and not regular use, of course. I see. Well, I gotta go. Yes, another thing. If you aim for the arms or legs, one's is self-defense, anything more is assault. Yeah. Bye, Dorothy. Bye, Jill. Bye-bye. Please come again. Well, I thought she was gonna take me away. They would put my mind on a vacuum cleaner for 3 years. You if I behave well. Well, that's what happens when you underestimate people. Although I'm tempted to ask. About what? DNA reading tongue. Very prehensile, intuitive, also it vibrates. Extra flexible joints. You really need to ask. Anti-radiation coating. Hey, my skin's my first tool of the trade. I need to take care of it as much as possible. And it makes me feel soft, so no matter how much it's been battered. Alright then. So you fancy yourself a diviner, reading people and all. Not really. I'm just really good. Yeah, I'm just quite good at reading people. I guess it's a byproduct of dealing with so many people on a daily basis. It's a bit surreal to hear that from a Lilim. What can you say about me then? Let's see. You're very, very, very sexually frustrated. It's not the act itself, but rather that your partners can't seem to satisfy you on a deeper level. There's even a deeper frustration. Something happened that's blocking you. Maybe there's someone who you know you won't return your feelings. Maybe you were hurt in the past. Thus your demeanor is that of someone who feels like life is playing tricks on her. Like a dog whose owner never really throws the ball. Oh boy, did I actually hit the nail on the head? I was making this stuff up on the fly. Oh, that was just rubbish I say because it's right 80% of the time. Generic bullshit, if you will. You'd be surprised at the amount of sexual frustration people hold. I can't read you, honey. You're too good at putting out a professional face. But this definitely gives me more insight into you. Lucky, lucky. Aren't you late or something? I am. But if you let me satisfy your frustrations, I could stall for some time. Go. Fine, fine. Bye-bye, honey. Artificial intelligence has come rather far, eh? One wonders how artificial it remains. Shut up, fuckboy. Damn, she's fucking mad. She got baited, she got trolled, now she's fucking mad. Everything done? Yeah. Hey boss, this might seem random, but do you remember the first time I came to the bar? When you came to submit your contract? Yeah, why? Well, for some reason I've been hung up on it since this morning, and I just realized why. The bitch that welcomed me back then was... you trying to pull your hand out of a jar. Oh yeah, that. I can't remember what exactly, but something fell inside and I tried to retrieve it. I just kind of put my hand in and it got stuck. It was a French jar too, so I couldn't just break it. Hey Gil, how did you get my hand out of that jar? A straw and some butter. Oh yeah, clever solution. Yeah, and that brings me to the random thought. That incident, the helmet yesterday. How many times... Yeah, that incident, the helmet yesterday, the many times your foot got stuck on for something. Your foot got stuck on something for stomping it. Boss, why do you get stuck in so many different things? Huh. Now that you mention it, I do remember this one time she tried to eat a big sandwich and her jaws got stuck. Then there was the incident with the TV. I'll admit my fault with the others. No, but the TV incident was not my fault. The assembly instructions for that stand should have labeled their Z and S better. You saw what happened when I switched the S2 piece with the 5Z one? Still, Jill's onto something here. Yes, she is. No, go clean the dishes and you can leave for today. I like to think she'll make an effort now to avoid getting stuck in things. I want to believe. Yeah, one mistake was, trying to figure out that one girl's drink. Today's payment, $85. Everything will turn out turn out alright in the end, don't worry. $800 has been charged to your account to renew your membership to Shining Fingered. Jill's subscription got renewed. She'll have no problem focusing at work today. Happy birthday? What the fuck is this? Uh-oh. You really like that website, huh? I have needs. Oh, here we go. I wish I knew some of these drinks. Alright, piano and ones. Sociable girl as much as total klutz. And then we find out our glass is now a conversation piece. She is a big fan. You know, where the hell are you? And then another drink as she's waiting, right? One that was prepared in memory of its creator's dearest friend. Oh, its creator's dearest friend. If her drink is like a Zen star, it's gonna be fucking funny. I don't know how I don't know how I don't guess that. Here. Maybe I'm being too cryptic, but you should know these ones already. Well shit. One more shot because it's only a difference of like $500, but I do want to know what she says. Like, where does the conversation go after that? Click, 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 click. And then she's intrigued by the glass. In a car crash, oh, you're helping. I remember learning something about one of the drinks in the last session. Crap, I can't remember what though without looking it up. Because I think, yeah, because I think it was supposed to be like the martini was somebody's like favorite drink made in memory of them, and then they changed it. They changed the name as like it got like fucking corporatized, I think, right? Damn it. Alright, so it'll be fine. Hmm. Tastes like green tea, kicks like whiskey. You know what? I'll buy this. For those days where you built up too much tension. It's vintage gaming. Whatever. Is this where the plant is? I thought something would have like appeared here. Cause what else? What else did I buy? Oh, I bought the Mulan tea and just the shoulder massager. Alright, Alice Rabbit Thread 3. It's officially happening. What do you think will happen? Probably nothing. Last time it was the leaks. I think Alice jumped the shark with that one because it seemed hard to top. Maybe more leaks? Sounds unlikely, but I don't think the government will let that happen twice. But this is Alice we're talking about. There's nothing they can't do. What if that spooky message wasn't really Alice? Yeah, wasn't really Alice, but just an epic prank. Who would hack the site like this just for a prank? No, not me. You're right. It might be someone else. We'll have to wait and see. What was the date again? December 17th. Right. If only we knew more about the target now. Sick memes, this. These Alice threads piss me off. Fucking e-celebs. What if it has something to do with the terrorism rumors? Augmented Eye. Crime rate up 5% this month. Crime rate is up 5% this month, officially making the road to Mega Christmas a dangerous one. White Knights, aware of the situation, have promised to maintain security in all sectors, even though recent budget cuts have been decreasing the morale of the personnel. An uphill battle. Poverty and the lack of opportunities are no longer the main causes of crime. Criminals come from all walks of life. They will murder and distribute drugs for no other reason than the fact it gives them power. It's no longer about feeding their families, it's about domination. Their entire sector is controlled by these dangerous gangs and there's no solution in sight. This mega Christmas will be a very dark one. Could be worse. God forbid things get under control here. Alice Rabbit might be Akira. Might be a Akira Mickey fan. And who isn't? Everyone loves Kira Mickey, and Alice Rabbit is no exception. You might be wondering what's my proof for this not so wacky theory? And well, if you keep reading if you want to know. Attack patterns. This is not an easy one. I'm getting tired of your shit, Miss Smithy. They're messing with forces they can't grasp. Or it's a ruse. You wouldn't believe this shocking Kira Mickey secret. It's a local page, for fuck's sake. Today we'll take a look at one of the most popular acts of our times. How did she get started? What's her favorite movie? What about her romantic life? Don't miss this exclusive interview only on the Augmented Eye. Content blocked in your region. But it's a local page, for fuck's sake. Alright, and we're back. Alright, let's do a second shift. Friday, December 16th. Good evening. Hello. Jesus! Seems you made it just in time. I think that's just a car backfiring. Really? It sounds more like a gunshot to me. Have you ever heard gunshots? Haven't we all at some point? Yeah, well... See? It sounds more like a car's exhaust. I don't know. It's too dry. Yeah, but gunshots give more echo. What if it's a firecracker? Ah, boss. Firecrackers. Yup, a couple of years ago there was an incident where some dude killed a cop. He managed to slip away because his pistol was mixed up with the usual mega Christmas firecrackers. Nah, it sounded too hollow for firecrackers. Well, whatever. This is not a morning talk show. I'm not paying you to chit-chat about meaningless things. At least not amongst ourselves. Right. We shouldn't lose time over a car's exhaust. Hey. Time to mix drinks and change lives. Welcome to Valhalla. Wait a minute, who the fuck is this? George Costanza? What the fuck? All of a sudden I'm in Seinfeld? Next he's gonna be like, I was in the pool! Hello, I'm looking for some information. What kind of information? What can you tell me about a girl nicknamed Crimson Rose? Sounds like a tacky online handle. Although tacky online handle is a bit redundant. Do you know anything about her? Nope, sorry. I have $80 here that might refresh your memory. Now that you mention it, I do remember something. Really? Yeah. Now I'm totally sure I have no idea whatsoever who you're talking about. Nothing at all. Nothing. Man, you're a sucky bartender. Not having any info I need. Well, first of all, why assume I just happen to have the info you conveniently need? Does that girl frequent this place? Is there any proof that I may have the info you so desperately need? Well, And second, you're not going to get anywhere by offering me physical money. In fact, what are you doing with physical money? Do you want to get mugged so badly? Yeah, well... Moreover, even if I did know something, do you really think $80 is enough? You can do almost nothing with $80. It's not enough to even have a decent lunch. Why are you scolding me? Why did you call me a sucky bartender for not conveniently having the info you need? Wait, of course. You want all deals to be clean, so you need me to spend money on the bar. So it works, right? I spend money, you give me the info. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, then get me a drink, but keep it under $80. 80 bucks. Let's see what kind of drink you can buy with that. Not much, I'm afraid. Oh, a gut punch is 80 bucks. Have I run the streaming channel yet? No, not yet. Although... 1 second though. BRB. I'm gonna take a moment to clean these glasses here. So my guy needs a gut punch. Boy, do I want to punch him in the gut. Also, what up, Amatz? How you been? Been a while. Been okay, just hopping here and there and everywhere. Classic lurker behavior. True lurker behavior. No, I'll make his drink a little strong for him. He seems to be desperate for info. Maybe he'll fucking back off and be like, "Oh fuck. Wait, I have more money." Aged and mixed. Here. Okay then. Do you know anything about the girl? No. But you said, maybe, maybe not. Turns out it's maybe not. You were the one deluding yourself into thinking I might know something. And like I said, $80 is nothing. So I need to spend more. I'll give you some intel. Spend all the money you want, but I know nothing and no amount will change that. Can I at least get my money back? Why? The order is right, isn't it? I guess. So why are you looking for that girl, mister? Vondelay. Art Vondelay. I'm a private detective. That's what I do. So I'll assume you're either looking for a missing girl or working for a creepy online stalker. You're assuming the girl I'm looking for is innocent or lost. She's not. She's half of the so-called reapers of the city. 2 guns for hire that work for whoever's resourceful enough to find them and wealthy enough to pay them. Crimson Rose and Cobalt Lily, they call themselves. They still sound more like teenagers' internet nicknames. So, who wanted you to track her? I don't know. I got the letter with the instructions and a paycheck. What if it's a prank? I have the money, so what do I care if it is? Besides, considering the amount I was able to cash in with that check, it'd be a pretty wasteful prank. I see. Still, any information or rumors you could give me? They don't have to be related to the girl. Why do you need them? It's always good to keep up with local going-ons. Well, let's see. Sorry, can't think of anything right now. Most of the conversations you hear aren't really rumor-worthy. Not here, anyway. Humor-worthy, maybe. But not much about current events. At least, not beyond what you see on the news. Damn it! What kind of bar is this if you can't even gather the word on the street? What kind of film noir world do you think you live in? Yale might know something if you're so fixated on finding some kind of information. I don't know what you're talking about. Do you know something that might help me, Gil? I don't. I certainly don't, and I'm offended by the suggestion that I do. He knows something. On second thought, maybe it's better if you don't get involved with him. Well, this has been a major waste of time. And here I thought all the noise BTC bars have made lately would have been useful for something. Noise? What noise? We don't know. I'm asking for a reason. You'll find out soon enough, don't worry. In any case, I'll just have another drink and leave.
What can I get you?
I'll have a grizzly temple.
Simple enough.
One, two, three, one, two, three, and one. Like, it's kind of funny. I think I have the ability to kind of like look over and actually be picking up ingredients as I'm reading off the recipe to myself.
Here.
Okay, then. This is going to be deducted from the $80 from earlier, right?
No.
Fine. Come on, there has to be something. This week has been slow as hell. The only good thing I've heard is about this girl who threw herself off the roof of a nearby mall. And this whole thing about a woman catching her midair makes me think it's totally made up.
Aside from the rumors of the Harbingers are looking to cause trouble at the bank today, no, not really.
Damn it. Wait, who told you that?
It appeared on the news, didn't it?
Yeah, but the name the Harbingers wasn't used. No good city outlet has reported that themselves. There are rumors that someone or something is keeping them silent. And even the international outlets aren't using the name Harbingers. They're avoiding acknowledging the organization yet for some reason. So you're either one of them or somebody in the know told you about it.
Wow, he can be surprisingly sharp. Yeah, Donovan D. Dawson was in here for the last 3 days, actually.
Really?
I wonder if you'll notice the Glass the Idol signed.
I mean, sure, I can't think of anything else that would be useful involving him right now, but...
Guess not.
You talk about anything interesting.
Interviewing the idol that had a show a couple days ago. Dealing with the messy interns. Par for the course, I guess.
I see.
Gunshot! It's a backfire.
Firecrackers!
Hey, what do you think that sound just was now?
Sounded like something very heavy being dropped.
Something heavy? Come on, that's not even close. It was definitely more like an explosion of some kind.
No, you could clearly hear the clashing of metal. Something that was both made out of metal and very heavy fell down. That's what made the sound.
Whatever it is, it's not normal for it to be repeating so often. I wonder if something's happening.
I heard there was some gang spats going on. Maybe they took the conflict here.
Which means gunshots. If that's the case, I just hope they don't come too near us.
Well, I've got to go. Seems coming here wasn't a waste of time after all.
Really?
Really. I just have different needs, but there will come a time when this place might help me. Goodbye.
Please, come again.
Gangs, then.
Unlikely. This is unicorn territory.
They've always been a neutral and important third party in other gangs' deals.
Who? What now? I'll just pretend I heard nothing.
Thank you.
You left me thinking about the whole noise from BTC bars thing. What's up with that?
I think I heard something about money laundering through bars. Don't take my word for it, though.
I see. I guess I'll find out soon enough.
Well, good. Oh, speak of the fucking devil, Amats. Yeah, let's fucking go. Best character in the game. You mean I'm the best character in the game? Look at me. I'm in the shade of the game. Come on. Anime was a mistake. That's so fucked up. Why is everyone so noisy? Alright, I'm pretty sure I missed a bunch. By the way, premium. Did I miss bath time? That's funny. I won't endanger you to leave. Fellow youngsters, short-haired streaming chan. Whoa, that's a wild one. Was everyone something? God damn. I'm Streaming Chan, giving you a live video feed of my life and adventures 24/7. Carefully read what she said. Okay. Bathroom time and naughty moments only available to premium users. Oh god. Oh, I miss short-haired Streaming Chan. What's happening? What the fuck is with these messages flying across the screen? Too much clothing? Oh my god. Why is everyone so noisy? It's only $99.99 a month. Go premium now. It's Friday night, and you all know what that means. It's time for escapades. Streaming Chan's escapades. Wow, okay. I'm pretty sure there's some shit I gotta fucking catch in all the messages that pop up. I know all of this is repeating. An IRL stream at the bar. Bro. Prophecy of problematic streamers. So no, this is gonna be the minigame where we where we call the cops and fuck her up, right? Today's escapade is brought to you by the ShiningFader.mode. Leaders of VR adult entertainment since 2069. Whoa. Buy a year of premium membership and you'll get a code. Exchange the code for a free trial of VR experience modeled after yours truly. Ah, okay. It is all the messages that loop here in one bombardment. At least what I can read so far. Excuse. Today I picked the shoddiest, nastiest, smelliest, ugliest bar I could find downtown. And sadly it actually looks half decent inside. So much for going to a crap-all bar that smells like dog urine. Drop a cow. Heh. Excuse me. But no matter. Tonight I'll give you an escapade you'll never forget. Hey you, where's the bartender? You're talking to her. Very funny, where is he, really? Right in front of you. Hey, you. Pretty boy over there. Where's the bartender? You're looking at him. No way. No hot shirtless guy playing with fire and serving drinks while flirting with you. No sexy scantily clad girl jiggling around the place. You're telling me you two, dressed like fucking waiters, are the bartenders here. I want my money back. Yep. Seems that way. Is that a problem? Of course it's a problem. Friday nights are peak viewing hours. I need something sexy or enticing to keep them interested. Oh well, there's an easy solution to that. There is. Yeah, just take your top off. You might need to take off your bra too, depending on how the traffic goes. Wait, you're... Damn. Wait, you're quite flat. Do you even use a bra? Is that piercing glare a no? Remember you made that comment about problematic IRL streamers you're looking at, or oh yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, was this game like prophetic? Was this a prophecy of like fucking things to come? Although like Johnny Somali was not like the actual fucking depiction, nor on the fucking level that this was probably predicting. Inherently no, because this game came out after the Ice Poseidon incidents. Ah, okay. So my timeline is different. I do not remember things in the right order. Is that piercing glare? No. Come on, one of us is gonna have to take their top off, and it ain't gonna be me. I already did that once already. Or once today. Yeah, and it's too late to go somewhere else. By the time I ain't even asked to your bar, they'll be closed. What's your policy on wearing pants? Somebody tried to have me fired for wearing a skirt, so we can deal with that on a case-by-case basis. That's not a concrete answer. I need binary yes/no answers. My viewers have the attention span of fruit flies. If they wanted to use their brains, do you think they'd watch something other? Oh, she really loves us. Oh my god. If they wanted to use their brains, do you think they'd watch something like this? I need to keep them entertained, and the fact that you still have your shirt on isn't helping. Wait, I know. Give me a drink. A big one. The nastiest one you can think of. Hello? Service here, please. Wow, it's like my brain shut down. Sure. Nasty drink. Nasty drink. Manly promo drinks are both nasty, but this is my opinion. Let's see here. Manly and promo drinks are both nasty, but that's my opinion. Crevice Spike is 2 powder delta. What if I give her one of these? No, just just a completely fucked up goddamn crevice spike, more like more more like a crevice fucking hammer. Fuck. One, two, three, four, five. That's like already 20 things. So that would be a gigantic fucking drink, technically. Yeah, the max ingredients you can have is 20. Oh yeah, that's right. It's this blue drink. Here, try this. Here. Alright then, cheers! I don't think you should chug it down so quickly. It's like it hit me, but I didn't feel it until a few seconds later. Is this what being kicked in the balls feels like? Yup. Okay, I've decided. I'll just get really wasted. That's gotta be fun enough, right? If you say so. Okay, in the meantime, what can you tell me about this bar? What do you mean? Weird stories, fun stuff, interesting facts. You're being seen by an average of 6,000 people. Make their time worth it. Oh, fuck. Let's see then. Last weekend we held a party for the Sci-Fi Toy Company. And it's a company run completely by dogs. Really? This place was completely overrun by corgis. Wait. Corgis? You really serve drinks to corgis? Tuxedo-clad talking corgis. Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Wait, you're not shitting me, right? I wish I was shitting you, trust me. What else? Let's see. Donovan D. Dawson from the Augmented Eye was here for 3 nights in a row. That perfumed chauvinistic bastard. Oh, there's our word again. Just the other day, someone from the Augmented Eye interviewed me, actually. What did they ask? Oh, the usual bullshit. Who I was, what I did, future plans, inspirations. The one that interviewed me was a small meat girl with glasses. She seemed a bit bitter, though. I wonder why. But enough about that. Wait, can I see that glass over there? Sure. This signature. Is this Kira Miki's autograph? Yeah, she came here before her last concert. Get out, really? Is this some kind of secret hidden bar of the stars or something? Not really. We're just in the right place at the right time. What kind of person is she when she's not on stage? I've tried getting a meeting with her, but she actually seemed willing to, but she's always busy. A very nice girl, actually. She seems to be completely invested in her work. She loves what she does, and it shows. You'd think she'd be some sort of diva, but as far as I'm concerned, she's one of the nicest people I've met. I knew it! I knew she was nice. Her passion shows in her concerts, you know. She's so spontaneous. Her performances are never the same. Every time she sings Shine Spark, I feel like my soul is warming up like a high-performance computer. Shine Spark. Blah. I find myself singing it in the shower all the time. And those who pay premium can hear me sing every day at $99.99 a month. Go premium now. That aside, I was about to call bullshit on what you said. But I guess you do have some sort of proof for everything. Can I keep this glass? No. Pretty please? No. Party pooper. At least this bar might be more interesting than I initially thought. The one thing that'd make it perfect is if pretty boy over there had to pass the KGB.
Who told? Yeah, that'd be crazy, huh? Yeah.
Are you gonna order anything else? What? Oh, yeah. The whole getting wasted thing. I heard of a drink called a bad touch. Give me a big one of those, please. Big bad touch. Going coming right up. Ah, that's so fucking funny. Even Jill can't fucking keep her shit together over that fucking name. Give her a big bad touch. Sorry. Oh no, actually you're right, because this game came out 1 year before I got in trouble with IRL streams. I got the dates mixed up because I accidentally said the wrong game's name. Ah! Okay, so my memory isn't actually all that bad. I'm not, I'm not going senile yet. Hell yeah. Yeah, bro, almost right. Almost ratted himself out. Almost. No, my speech is just that bad. No, for sure. But I can at least understand. Alright, so double all ingredients is basically how you make a big drink, right? So I need 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 1, 2, 4. Four, 4, and 8. Here. I was expecting something dirtier. We have olive brine. I can pour in a bit if that's what you want. No, not that. It's such a dirty name, it feels like the drink ought to come in a pallet glass to be this thick or be this thick white liquid. How about it skyrocket the watches at least 3-fold? Don't you have anything like that? Nope. I'll have to make do with the condensed milk when I get home. Friendly reminder that today's escapade is brought to you by ShiningFinger.mo. Leaders of VR adult entertainment since 2069. Buy a year of premium membership for a neat code. Said code will net you a free trial of VR experience with a model based on moi. What's the deal with that VR experience? Well, a fan made an NND model of me. When Shining Fingered asked me about a model for our partnership, I just contacted him. He got money for polishing the model a lot more. I got my partnership. We all won. I even got him a year free premium membership and a VR set. That's nice. Wait, what's NND? Don't tell me you haven't heard of Niku Niku Dance. I asked for a reason. Well, it's music videos with 3D models. Yeah, that sounds like a good enough explanation.
I see.
To be honest, though, the model's a bit meatier than me. Not that I mind it, though, considering the use it gets.
Ahem.
You know, I was expecting you to be more scared when I said that you're being watched by a lot of people.
It's hard to be scared when you can't see these people.
But they're still here, you know. Sure, they're behind screens and sometimes in the opposite corner of the world. But every single one of my viewers is a real person with a real life. Not being here doesn't make them any less real.
I understand, but it's just not the same. They're not here visibly paying attention to me. I don't get paranoid because of my phone contacts.
That's true, I guess. So, tell me, what made a lady like you become a bartender?
It's not exactly an exciting story.
Doesn't involve a man.
No.
What about a crime?
Nope.
A childhood promise?
Nah.
A religious vow?
Oh, what?
You're not gonna tell me that you just decided out of the blue to quit your job and start bartending.
That's actually what happened. Sorta.
Oh, come on, no epiphany, quarter life crisis, not even a hot teacher somewhere along the line.
Life isn't always a young adult novel where every decision is a road cone.
And that's a problem. 1/3 of my audience are teens that shouldn't be allowed to watch my streams. Throw me a bone here. There must be a nice mythical story you can tell about yourself, Miss Bartender.
Well...
Yes?
Sometime after I started working, I got an interesting client. He was a DRK SOL, a really old Villa model. Apparently his power supply was running low. His charger was destroyed and he didn't have the money to buy upgrades or replacements. He also seemed to have neglected his maintenance. He was from the time when Collective Source wasn't a cloud storage system, so he wouldn't be uploaded there once his body ran out of energy.
Keep going.
It was weird, you know. He was the only little mice I've seen with a clear-cut fear of mortality. No transcendence for him. He would just disappear once his batteries ran out. It's like knowing you'll vanish while everyone else passes on to heaven, he said.
Oh man.
I guess he felt bad about burdening someone else with his problems. So he went and gave me a fingertip of his that fell while we were talking. Before he left, he said, "If you remember me, maybe a part of me will transcend."
Bravo, bravo. Touching, full of feeling, completely awesome. I'd pay to see a movie like that. So what happened to that finger?
I made a pendant out of it. Carry it with me at all times.
Even while bathing?
Almost all times. Now that I think about it, how do you handle the stream if you want to watch a movie or something?
I have a plugin that leaves Mosaic censorship over whatever I watch, on whatever I watch on TV or in the theater.
I see.
Okay, this is getting stale. I'm gonna heat this up even if I have to do it myself. We need to drop a cow in here. Miss Bartender, get me drunk. I don't care how, just do it.
Okay. She tells me to get her drunk no matter what. That's an interesting request.
Let's see, where is it? One of them is like fucking 1 aldehyde and 1, or not aldehyde, adelhyde, and like 9 carmotrine, right? Where is it? Where are you? Oh, here we go. Fringe Weaver. So she wants to get like super fucked up. All right, lady. You fucking asked for it. Literally. Nico Nico Dance is basically a parody of Hatsune Miku. A streaming channel that's half correct. Yes, streaming channel that's half correct. A good percentage of your viewers are bots. More than likely. All aged and mixed. So 1, 2, and then just fit this shit all the way the fuck up. It's like drinking ethylic alcohol with a spoonful of sugar. This is probably gonna kill her. Well, there you are. So, lightheadedness, clumsy tongue, palms sweaty, knees weak, arms spaghetti. Can't feel my legs. Can't feel my legs. Alright, let's get on with the loot stuff. First, I'll try to guess your bust size. I must warn you, I have a 90% success rate with this. I'd say B. Not big enough to fill a hand, but not small enough to make you look like a child. You're a size B, right? I'm not discussing my bust. Don't be like that, I can tell you're B cup. Your attitude makes me think you're an S, and your behavior makes me think your blood is AB. So, how many did I get right? Who knows? Please let me get on with this. I need you to cooperate if it's gonna be a success. Can I ask something? Finally, what's the point of getting drunk if you're going to behave the same way? I guess it is kind of redundant. Because you see, I'm drunk 24/7. Damn. Eh? Knowing people want to watch me do anything and everything. Seeing the viewer count steadily rise as I take more risks and become more adventurous. It's a feeling that neither alcohol nor sex can compare to. Speaking of sex, if I get lucky tonight, you only need to pay $99.99 to see what happens afterward. Go with premium or go home. Do you really get lucky if the other person knows they're being streamed? You'd be surprised about how many are actually turned on by that. How do you deal with people who don't want their identities revealed? Everything's written here. By being captured by this camera, you will hereby provide consent to the use of your face on all material produced by Streaming Chan LLC. I'm not sure how legal that is. People believe it is, and I've yet to be troubled by a lawyer. It's funny though, that when you're on the street, somebody really hot, you can't really recall their faces. But I learn their name and suddenly they're a fucking snowflake that's better than all the rest. Huh? This is weird, I'm being sleepy. You did ask me to get you drunk. Why is it weird? Because I haven't felt sleepy in quite some time. And in fact, I've been sleep deprived for a while now. How long? A week. A week? Weeks are the ones at 30 days, right? Um. Okay. Now I'm kind of unsure about the single green eye. It feels like her normal eye color is blue, but I think this may be a side effect now. Well, technically she has, there's a thing in your brain called micronaps. You always take micronaps when you're way too tired. So for most people, staying up for a week and then not remembering they fell asleep, hence the word micronap. Oh no, brother, yeah, I know what you mean. I tend to stay up about like a day and a half at a time. But also, yes, micronaps are real. Go to any VOD where where I'm a little bit sleepy. Well, rather sleepy, I should say. And watch for the times where I just walk into a wall for at least 2 seconds. Or at least it looks like, at least to me, it felt like I probably ran into a wall for like 2 seconds. But she says sleep deprived, meaning that she hasn't like been straight up she doesn't say she hasn't been straight up like deprived of sleep. Let's see. What did she say? She just hasn't felt sleepy. Yep, totally sleepy. I can feel my head is getting heavier. And there's this weird lag when I try to move. What's up with that? Anyways, I think I'll take a little nap here before storming off and continuing the night. Oh, they're like, no! Don't fucking sleep? What do you mean? If you'll excuse me. Should I call a cab? And risk waking her up? Leave her be. I'd rather break the rules and let her sleep than deal with her again. I'm gonna take my break now. It's been a while since I've needed a cigarette this badly. Alright. Now safe to keep playing. Ah, the lovely sensation of feeling like you're forgetting something. Where the fuck is it? Shit. Oh, right here. I don't think she said that. Oh, good shit. Wrestling's on. All done. Feeling better. Fresh air does wonders for you. Well, for a given value of fresh, anyway. I insist that it sounds like dynamite. No, it was too long to be dynamite. It sounded like some heavy-duty tool. You're a heavy-duty tool. Yes, I am. Wait, that... Damn it! Oh, welcome back. Welcome back. Since when have... Never mind. I could have sworn this place looked a lot more pink the last time we came. Maybe it's the lighting. Hey, bartender, what did that noise just sound like to you now? Oh, that's right, Betty and Deal. I'd say it sounds like construction, but Betty here says it's dynamite or something like that. Not you two. Eh? Do you think it's dynamite then? What? No, I say it's a backfire. It's a gunshot. Firecrackers! See, those sounds have been going on all night. We can't figure out what they are. Well, we aren't here to discuss that. We're here to, who is he? Gillian. Nice to meet you. I don't know. You have more of a John face. Where was he last weekend? I don't know and I don't care. He already made amends for leaving me to fend off all those dogs. Anyway, what do you want? Beer. Oh, what the hell? Oh, a beer too. 2 beers coming right up. Get him beer. One, two, one. Yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2, 4. Here you go. Thank you. And after work beer is always the best beer. Yeah. So tell me, bartender. Just call me Jill. Jill? That's a nice name. How's business lately? As usual. Wait, I guess you really don't know what usual means for us. We're not the kind to be filled to the brim with during rush hours, but we don't have that many regulars. So it's just the same. Nothing's changed. I guess when we came here with all the dogs, it was quite the change of pace, huh? You have no idea. I have a question, Jill. Is it about the girl sleeping next to you? Premium. Please don't wake her up. Do you regularly let people sleep here? No, but I'd rather have her sleeping than talking. Should you be saying that with at least 6K people listening? Let them hear. I don't care. 6K people? She calls herself Streaming Chan. She's been streaming her life 24/7. That sounds familiar. I think one of the dogs talked about seeing someone doing that. I don't know if it's the same person. So, 6,000 people are watching and hearing us? Considering the way she's sleeping, they're probably only hearing us. Her camera is against the table. I don't know how many are still on the channel, though. I see. So, There will be a lot more witnesses if something is said. Do any of you have a criminal past? Nope. Just a minor charge of petty vandalism. What did you do? Painted graffiti outside of my high school saying, Miss Thompson's a cunt. Why'd you do that? Because Miss Thompson was a cunt. She constantly humiliated whoever got her questions wrong. She also constantly bullied 2 of my classmates. True, I got a week of suspension and had to clean the wall, but it gave everyone the courage to speak up. So how's stuff up at Doglandia? Well, we recently struck a deal with Farmer Fabrics to start a doggy clothing line. Farmer Fabrics. That name rings a bell. It's a textile company where the owner believes herself to be an alpaca. Oh, right, her. Yeah, that one. We had her here some time ago. She got drunk and so much saliva everywhere. Oh. But anyway, dog clothes. We hired a new employee and she showed the higher-ups some new designs. After a couple of talks, they decided to give the clothing production a try. Those designs were embarrassing, you know. But something tells me that's why they were approved. You guys want anything else? I'll have whatever this guy orders. Let's see. I'll have a Brantini. 2 Brantinis then. Shit, at least by now I would have at least remembered a Brantini. 631. Here you go. You have such a wimpy taste in drink steel. Not all of us spent our weekends in college partying like maniacs. Actually, not all of us went to college. You missed nothing. Sometimes I wish I could go back in time and kick myself. Something on your mind? That girl that's designing the clothes. Laura? What about her? She's cute, but she could take more care in her appearance. She should take more care. I mean, right now she fits the unkempt cutie category, so I guess it's almost painful. So well that it's almost painful, sorry. It's so cliched that I can't help but cringe when looking at her. Cringe? It's like when you see something that's such a cheesy movie cliche. You just feel the need to kick whatever the hell it is. Kick? Betty, I didn't think I'd have to say this to you twice in the same month, but you shouldn't kick people. I wasn't gonna kick her. Well, you think I'd kick her? Because I've seen you kick people before. Apparently unprovoked or due to complicated reasons only you understand. Fine. Guilty as charged. Still, I'm gonna do something about her. I just feel like I need to. It's a matter of honor. Honor, she says. Well, maybe honor isn't the right word, but she has potential and I'm not gonna let her waste it. Jill, I'm gonna go check the antenna on the roof. Alright. Alright. She's your boss, right? Didn't you meet her before? Nope, I'm just the veterinarian. The dogs are the ones that organized a meeting with her. I'd say she's really good looking, but honestly, those pants rob her of her charm. What? What do you mean? They make her look too uptight, and at a glance, she doesn't seem like the type. Some shorts or a skirt would fit her better. Well, she wears a skirt or pants depending on her mood. There's also this one time where she came in wearing a kilt. That kilt was awesome! Damn, she has nice hearing. I suppose she is like a cat or something, I guess, I think, right? Now that I think about it, you have that hobby of speculating what someone's personality is like based on just their looks. I mean, you did the same with Jill here. Amazing, you actually made that sound weird as hell. Yes, I have the habit of trying to guess someone's behavior based on their looks. No, it's not a hobby. You made that sound like I'm some sort of creep. I did. What did you think about me? Nothing much, really. Mostly that you were too polite. Not the natural polite, though. More like a professional polite. You're like that because you need to be. But that was it, really. Although the way you looked at me when I said your boss could use a skirt or shorts was interesting. You seemed interested in what I said. Like you'd like to see that scenario. You're thinking too much. What do you think about Gil, then? Classic. Deflect. Nicely done, Jill. He's either a total simpleton or acts like one in a way that consumes the rest of his character. Yeah. Yeah, why not? But anyway, I'm just a veterinarian. My judgment might be clouded by seeing so many furry businessmen. Let's have another round. Sounds like a good idea. You'll have something strong. You need to pump some testosterone into your taste in drinks. You'll thank me later, trust me. Then... 2 strong drinks. Manly drinks, I don't care which ones. Well... You shut up. I could give them crevice spikes with no alcohol. That wouldn't be cool. Oh, you know what? I have an idea. Yeah. Something like this. Oh, 4 Comertrine versus 3. Two strong drinks, manly drinks. Bitter, manly, burning, but not strong. Not strong. Yeah, I can give them Mars Blasts. Sour, manly, sobering. Okay, so then... yeah, Mars Blast it is then. Okay, so you need 6 yellow, 1 blue, 4 green. And then 2 light blue, I guess. 6, 1, 4, and 2. Here. Now, drink. Mm. Oh, man up, you'll get used to it. Hey, Jill, has someone ever proposed to you as a prank? You know, make you think they're falling in love with you, just to reveal that it was all a prank. Jill? First year of high school. The guy I had my eyes on for a whole year asked me out. Saturday morning, I go to the meeting place. What do I find? It was all a prank by some bitches. Ouch. Sorry, The worst part isn't that they set me up, but rather I saw it coming. I knew that the guy wouldn't find me attractive enough to ask me out. I knew those bitches would target me sooner or later just for kicks. I knew it all. So when it all happened, I felt nothing. They confirmed my suspicions that teenagers are a plague that must be eradicated. Anyway, why the question? Hey, piece of scrap. Yeah. This is a situation where you should have stopped me before I said anything. It's better to learn by tripping yourself. Why the question, though? I was asking because one of my ex's cousins had been hitting on me in the past couple days. If it were somebody else, I'd pretend to be straight with the help of his piece of scrap here. Oh. Huh. One of her ex's cousins. And if it were somebody else, I'd pretend to be straight with the help of this piece of scrap here. Sadly, she knows who I am. Worst part is knowing Vera, she would probably put a cousin up to it as a practical joke. Well, I'd suggest telling the cousin that she should cut it out. If she feels genuinely offended, then they might not have been in cahoots. But I'm just spouting nonsense based on what you told me. Don't pay too much attention. It's better than my suggestion. What was yours? Waterboarding. I see. What? The fact that she knows how to waterboard somebody is what scares me most. The Girl Scouts also taught me how to skin a deer, but I see nobody making a fuss about that. But yeah, your advice sounds good enough. Especially when you factor in that if Gina's being honest about her, she probably won't feel offended. Gina, which one was that again? Blonde, flat as a cutting board, and cute as a button. Oh yeah, she came to the office Christmas party, right? That's the one. Well, it's getting late. We should be going. Yeah. Thank you again for everything, Jill. Bye. Please come again. Back. Those damned cats moving the internet antenna. Oh yeah, Gil, some guy said I should tell you that the bunny's late or whatever that means. Oh, shit. Boss, I'm leaving early. If I don't come back in 2 days, consider me good as dead. Yeah. Shouldn't we be worried? Think of him as a kid that tells outrageous stories to get attention and everything will be easier. Besides, he knows how to take care of himself. Yeah. He'll be here on Monday like nothing ever happened. In any case, I'll be back in my office. Maybe now I can finish watching the didgeridoo tutorial. This just in. News at this hour. The Apollo Trust Bank has locked its doors, leaving around 30 people trapped inside. The security system was activated after somebody tried to steal information from the main database. Early this morning, the bank... Damn, that's rough. Hello, Jamie.
Good evening, Jill. Did you see the news about the Apollo Trust Bank?
The newsflash just ended. Sounds like things just got ugly.
From what I heard, there's a commotion earlier today. Something about people being unable to leave the building. Let's hope for the best.
Yeah. Gil stormed off just a minute ago, though.
I see. Guess the bunny was late.
He definitely knows what's going on. What can I get you?
Give me a Mars blast.
Coming right up. Mars Blast is what I just gave those other fine folks. Six, 1, 4, 2. One Mars Blast.
Yeah, this is the one.
Mars Blast has always seemed poorly named to me. Shouldn't it be red instead of yellowish? Then again, the whole red plant thing is still its nickname. PR. Can't believe I'm myself.
Hey, who's this girl?
She calls herself Streaming-chan. She's been streaming her life 24/7. I'm guessing her equipment's still running, so you might want to watch what you say.
Thanks for the advice.
Changing the subject a bit, have you been hearing explosions or something throughout the day?
I heard that a supersonic drone was undergoing tests and lost its course. That might be it.
Hey, boss. The explosions were caused by supersonic drones. That sounds better than firecrackers. We've been trying to figure out what they were all day.
Ah, I see. Sonic booms are not sounds people can normally identify. And this one drone made a lot of noise when breaking the sound barrier.
Is this an area that to test that kind of stuff?
It's not, which makes the whole thing quite suspicious.
Huh. Man, if only Gil was here to hear that info. He thought they were gunshots.
Are you worried about him?
Sort of. He always leaves without notice for days, but he always comes back unscathed. I'd be lying if I said I'm not worried, but at the same time I've just kind of become used to it.
He can be a troublesome man, huh?
Sometimes. Say, do you think the people in the bank will be alright?
This isn't the first time a bank is closed like that, but something is off about this.
Off? How?
I don't know. Maybe it's the hour. Maybe it's the fact that the news is making an unusually big stink out of it. Let's just hope I'm overthinking it.
Yeah.
Are you worried about something?
A girl that was in here yesterday said she was going to that bank. It's not like me to be personally invested in what happens to clients, but... Never mind, do you want something else?
Yeah, I can make it time for one more drink. Fetch me a beer. Let's keep it simple.
Sure. One, two, 1, 2, 4. Here.
I once read that beer played an important part in humanity's history.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the theory. It's an interesting one. The gist of it is that brewing was an important part of society during its development. Drinks were ubiquitous while feasting. They helped foster bonds and build faction alliances. Given enough time and enough beer, larger societies would be born.
You seem to know a lot about this.
Nah, just enough.
Jill, have you ever thought about brain uploading?
Brain uploading?
I was thinking, what's the point of uploading yourself when you're still here? Let's say you upload yourself and effectively that new someone's in cyberspace. You'll still be here. Wouldn't it be weird to know that that there's a you that's not you somewhere?
That's an interesting point. I guess it'd be the same as cloning, huh? Imagine if your cyberspace self found out about the real you somehow. Hell, imagine talking to your other self.
There's more. Imagine placing multiple copies of you in different situations, exposing each one to different scenarios to see how they develop.
I guess it is kind of heartbreaking in a way. Imagine someone with illness uploading their brain into the ether, only to find out their physical bodies are still alive and here instead of living in a place where there is no disease.
I remember an article from a while back about the earliest forms of brain uploading. It would scan the brain in such a thorough and intense manner that would effectively kill the person. It used the words "burn the brain."
Ouch.
All for nothing because the data would be corrupted or broken. They halted all brain uploading research after that. I think they started another project about living brains in jars or something after that.
That subject interests you, huh?
It makes for a nice time sink when I'm doing nothing. Well then, nice talking to you, Jill.
Same here. Always a pleasure.
Say hello to Gilliam for me when he comes back.
Please come again. Whew, all done. You want to stay here? Seems the street's quite restless. Thanks, but I'll pass. I have a couple of matters to attend to at home. You do? Yeah, I ordered an Anakama module for my apartment. It should be installed by now. Nano Camel? Isn't that expensive? Yep. To be honest, I asked my mom for it. She had been pestering me about what gift I wanted for Mega Christmas for a while. She's been asking me that for 4 years now. I always said I was fine. So I took the chance and asked her for it. Used up all the past gifts. Oh. Feels a bit weird to ask your parents for a gift like that when you're 27. I'm sure she doesn't mind. So what will the Nano Camel module change from your apartment? I got the basic plan. Walls and one piece of cloth. So I picked my kotatsu too. You have a kotatsu? You know what a kotatsu is, boss. I'm more impressed you know what it is. I mean, futons are common knowledge, but a kotatsu, not so much. Yeah, well, days get cold and the heater might not be enough. And the Japanese have mastered how to live comfortably in reduced spaces. You should invite me sometime. I want to see how you decorate the place with that. Let's plan a day to grab a beer, yeah? No more dancing. I'm tired. Poor streaming, Chan. What do we do with her? I'll take care of everything. Don't worry. Alright. Sorry for leaving her like this. No problem. Well, I gotta go. See you tomorrow, boss. Careful out there. Oh, flawless silverish bonus. Let's go. $500. So no mistakes. 30% commission. Let's go. 315 tips. Get a nice wall pattern or something. You have no new notifications or reminders. Jill wants to buy a fan even though it's winter. Buying one will prevent her from getting too distracted. You can now use Nanocamo to customize your room. Oh yeah, the table's different now. About Nanocamo is a company founded in 2068 and the pioneer of nanomachine fabric capable of real-time texture swap. Meant for military use, we bring our products to the general public at the most affordable prices. Hey, this sounds kind of familiar. What the fuck? Real-time texture swap. Okay, not exactly like my hoodie, but what's a nano camo? Something to liven things up in this room. Camotan is our mascot. She's designed by veteran character designer from Sukeban Games, Kyrian 51. And then birthday, January 24th, 85, 65, 90. Wow. I mean, whatever. Likes Musashi, Battleship, Technical Fashion, Peach Cake. Oh, there we go. Oh, this shit cost me money? Why not? Oh my god, this bright green room. I wonder, could I chroma key a background for her room? Oh, okay, cool. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're dark green. It's green. I thought it was gonna be like my green screen or some shit. Orange. All right. Jill wants a fan. Despite the noisy name, it's just a fan. Fans are really good. Jill bought herself what she wanted and she's pleased with herself. She will surely focus at work. Oh, there we go. There's the fan right there. Hell yeah. Alright, so that's another shift done. And we've been at this for about 8 hours now, so as good as time as any to call it for now. As we'll be back anyway later on tonight.